Hello, good evening, afternoon, morning, whatever it is, wherever you are. Hey, welcome to another exciting edition of 2022 SEC College Football with Dadman. We're almost at the end of the regular season, folks. This is week 12 out of 13 weeks we've got in the SEC schedule, and really for all of college football. Especially if you maybe a little different if you factor in that weird week 0 that they brought up the last few years. But hey, everybody, welcome tonight. It's always a good thing to be here and with you again on another Thursday night and to have fun and just talk more college football all the time. It's always special. Love the chat, love the people in the chat, love the comments. Love it, especially when we get questions about football, opinions on things, and just have a good old time. And then we can do some picks and prognostications. We can also go through a lot of what ifs. What if this team does that? What if this team does this? What happens? And there's going to be a lot of drama in the next 3 weeks coming up in terms of the national playoff picture. A lot of things could happen. Some things even I haven't thought about that I heard talk about today. Maybe we'll touch on a few of those tonight. A few points that we have hit last night too. But hey, most of all, thank you for being here. Thank you if you lurk. Appreciate lurkers too. I just love football, and we're on Twitch now. If you are watching us over on Twitch, make sure to give us a follow over there. And if you're on the YouTube side, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Leave a like to the video, tweet it out, share it with others. Just, help us grow this channel, get to 100 on YouTube. I've said I'd do a 24-hour stream, so let's see if that happens and see if I can handle it. Oh, my gosh. That would be quite an adventure. Quite an adventure. So here we are, another Thursday night, almost time for the weekend. One more day till we get through the end of the work week, at least for normal schedules. You people with weekends and night shift work, my hat's off to y'all for all the things that y'all have to deal with in your schedules. So here, we'll go ahead and get into the action with our special guest tonight, who needs no introduction. This special guest has been here before. Very talented, very awesome, very awe-inspiring. Definitely the person you want with you if you're playing Fortnite and you're trying to do quests. And the genius behind all of the graphics that you're seeing now on these slides for this show and putting out a lot of our thumbnails right now. It's the words can't describe her, but here she is, the wonderful, the incredible Mrs. Dadman Walking. Hello, honey.
Hello. How is everybody?
Oh, I'm good tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
It's been a long week, it feels like. So, and it's been a long week. There's been a lot of ups and downs, and just really, I enjoyed this Thursday night coming and chatting. And, I'm grateful to have you back on tonight, honey.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
I see we got a couple people in the chat we can say hi to.
All right. Hey, Ords. What's up?
Hey.
I don't know. Ords is one that makes me think of trying to talk hockey soon. So
I was going to leave a comment saying hi, but I can say actually hi to them in person, in real life, in real voice, I guess now.
Hey, Jess, SBD girl, thank you. Thank you for putting that out there too. Yes, absolutely. And I finally got to add Dadman Walking too.
Yes, at Dadman Walking.
Yes,
our week has been interesting. Not football related, but thank God it's cool outside because our central heat and air died.
Yes.
So we are now getting a whole new system. Thank God it didn't happen in the summertime.
Exactly. That would have been crazy.
Yes.
But at least we, it's fortunately we have mild winters, if we can even call our winters winter down here, so it makes it easier. Good time to do. And hockey. Yeah, apparently hockey is very popular. I've heard quite a few people wanting to talk hockey and stuff. So hey,
I
and
want rugby.
yes, yes, follow me on Twitter for the stream updates. Absolutely. Thank you for being here tonight, Jess. But yeah, rugby. Rugby's an awesome sport too.
Anything where they use duct tape as a first aid tool, I will
Yeah,
watch.
absolutely. I remember that guy's head split open, wide open, and he
Yeah.
just got duct taped, went right back in.
Yep. 25 degrees. Oh my gosh. I would be dead.
Oh,
Uh,
I like 25 degrees. I just need heat. I
oh
don't
no,
know.
no, no.
I that would be funny. We could just hug up. You could hug me. I'll keep you
Oh, I
warm.
would still be too cold.
Okay. Well, I tried. So anyway, it is Jess put over the YouTube side. Yeah, Twitter stream updates. Absolutely. We got 7 that are watching right now.
Oh,
So
nice.
let me say real quickly that if you're watching on the if you're watching on the Twitch side, follow us over there, and look at some of the other content. We put some short clips over there from some of our Fortnite adventures the other night, and over on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. So it's like they use duct tape and racing. So racing.
On their heads.
I don't know. Driving in circles are ovals. But slightly, yes, I saw the pictures of y'all snow, Jess. That was something else. All I could think of, if it did it here like it did in 1989, the whole town would shut down. It'd make Florida drivers even worse.
Yeah, well, the hard part with where we're at, if we have any ice or snow, is that we have so many bridges, and the bridges are not like drawbridges. They actually go up so boats can go underneath them without disrupting the flow of traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have any ice, you can't go up those bridges; they're too steep. So
Yeah.
if you got bridges everywhere, you can't people can't get where they need to go. That's what the big problem was with that was the ice, not necessarily the
Well,
snow.
it was funny. I was at a basketball game in downtown where all the bridges are that night, and it was funny. The school I went to was on the other side of the bridges, and then a lot of people for the other team lived on on the downtown side. Well, the funny thing was when they started making announcements that bridges started closed, they weren't moving until they mentioned one specific bridge, and then the other. Everybody ran it's like everybody on the other sides of the bridge were gone in a hurry. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, Ords likes fireplaces. Yeah, I love your camping videos. You need to do a few more of those with the fire videos. But I guess I don't know. I don't trust fireplaces. I'd burn the house down probably. For the crashes, yes, you do.
But there was one race that we saw, and to me, I just lost. It just ticked me off. It was it was a big crash, and it literally
Burn the track.
burned the track, and they had to fix it. And they had it stopped for longer than they would have ever than they should have. They should have called it and then let the who was first win. But
It
they
was Ollie's
didn't.
discount
But
bargain
they
car.
didn't because the one in first place was Ollie's Discount Bargain Store or something. It was not a main player, and so they didn't want them to win. So they literally just dragged it on for hours and hours and hours with a delay, hours and hours, because they had to literally melt the tar back to make the track usable. It was, yeah, that made
Yeah,
me mad
that was a
because
really,
Ollie's
really long
should have
delay.
won.
I know. I agree. Let the little guy win for once. Then you might get people watching your sport.
Yeah.
That's all crazy. So, but hey, glad y'all are here. We got 6 watching, and thank you for all of y'all that are here now. It like I said earlier, it's hard to believe 12 or 13 weeks are now almost in the books.
Wow.
The season has flown by really, really quickly, and we're gonna look back at last week and look forward to this week's games. Next week's will be even more special with some big rivalries, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So, Mrs. Any other? We'll talk. We'll go ahead and look at last week's games first. But any thoughts you want to share about football? At this point, anything jump out at you now?
I just want to say that having to do all your slides and everything, I have maybe not learned a lot, but I've learned more than I ever wanted to know about football, and it's actually kind of interesting. So I'm kinda glad I'm here, and I'm glad I did it. I'm getting to where I appreciate it
Well,
more than I did.
one thing's for sure, I couldn't do it without you.
Well, you're welcome.
I'm like slap a duck on it and it's fine and close enough, but you're very detailed and thank you for
Mm,
all that.
you're welcome.
Well, with that, let's go ahead and we'll start our review of last week's action here. But remember, the first disclaimer we always do, we always say here is that
Hey,
we're not a gambling site. We're here to have fun. We're uh, among friends, just to have a good old time and to talk some football. And when we make picks, we do straight up picks, winners, losers. We don't go into points and all the gambling stuff. And especially 2 weeks ago, with my picking results, you would not have won. You would have lost if you followed me. So don't follow us. We're not for gambling. We're here for entertainment purposes and have a lot of fun. And what I really love is, like you said, Mrs. You're not really the biggest football person. I love it when the non-football people are here. I
mhm,
love it, especially if they ask questions about the game, if there are things they don't understand, so I can actually talk about it. And for
right.
the football people that are in, we can talk about, like, we're going to talk a little bit about playoff possibilities, and
Mm.
that's what I really like to do here. So obviously, I like to talk, so it's cool. That's
Yes,
why
you
Hank
do.
always told me to get my own channel.
And you did. Thank you.
Yay! And hopefully, you
Yay.
will be soon too.
We hope.
So, all right. Well, with that in the books, let's jump off first to the first game we're going to look back at from last week was LSU at Arkansas. LSU in a defensive slugfest against the Pigs pulls out a 13-10 win. Not much exciting offense in this game. 2 turnovers per team. Very bland, boring game statistically, and not much to watch. But the game was significant in that with the win here for LSU, they clinch the Western Division title, which gives them a place in the SEC championship game in Atlanta on the first Saturday in December. So, ugly game, but it was a big win. And as they say, a win's a win. They win in advance. Uh,
So how did okay, I was trying to figure out the score. So LSU got a touchdown, a extra point, and then another touchdown, and then a missed extra
two
point?
field goals,
2 field goals, okay.
right? Yeah, that's how those usually work. But then
Okay.
again, you can also have cases where it is a missed extra point or something,
Right,
or if they go for 2 and don't make it. So
right.
there's various ways that happens.
Yeah,
But
the statistics are really low. The yardage is very low on this for both of them.
yeah, Jaden Daniels, who I know killed Florida when they played them, both passing and running, only threw for 86 yards and a pick. Um, they had running back Josh Williams had 19 carries for 122 yards. But see, Arkansas was out there starting quarterback. One of the backups, Cade Fortin, both backup quarterbacks ended up playing, but Cade Fortin had the most production, 8 of 13 passing for 92
Mhm.
yards with a touchdown. And probably one of the things that added to this game to make it so sluggish looking, not only the turnovers, but the defenses. LSU had
Mhm.
5 sacks of Arkansas quarterbacks, and Arkansas had 7 sacks of Jaden Daniels. So,
You
lot,
you
lot,
you
yeah,
know, if Arkansas had their main court considering that this score was so close and they played both backups, to me, it's like kind of where was LSU at this game? Because if, I mean, they're 7th and Arkansas's not even ranked. And they only won by 3 points, and Arkansas didn't have their main quarterback,
yeah. But
plus they had 7 sacks. Wow.
this is what happens though when you go into a conference like this, especially the Southeastern Conference, where you can't take anything for granted. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, you may be hot, you may be doing things, but you go on the road, the crowd noise makes a difference.
Mhm.
Uh, the game times make a difference. This might have been a noon kickoff, which would have been 11 local. There's many factors that go into
Right.
that. actually also, because like with Florida over the years, some of the worst games that they've had struggled starting has been at Vanderbilt, like they're going to this week.
Right.
Team that they should outclass. It should always be a blowout, but they sometimes go up there and it's a struggle and a dogfight.
Right.
But yeah, this is another game with Arkansas losing a game that is also defying their season. A team that I picked second, the media picked
Mhm.
third, but they just went flat. They fell flat this year.
Right.
They went. Arkansas lost all four of the big leaders in the Western Division: Alabama, Mississippi, Mississippi State, and LSU.
Mhm.
So a team that was projected to do pretty good this year, maybe even outside shot at challenging Alabama, and then they just fell flat. So yeah, so backups will throw off scouting of how the other team plays for defense. Yeah, that does happen too, because your backups may play a lot different, even though the offense is similar. Um, especially in Arkansas's case, they had a running and throwing quarterback, but the Cade Fortin was not the same type of quarterback there. The other backup was a little more like the starter, but yeah, those are the things too. And that's why sometimes they hide injuries, or they try to hide injuries, so you're left guessing when a player is not going to play or not, so that the opponent prepares for one, quarterback, and then
Mhm.
maybe you switch them up, or if they
Right.
leave them not expecting someone to play, that they prepare differently.
Mhm.
So, yep, absolutely. It's more prominent in the NFL than it is college, really. Even though they have injury lists, but they're always uh, blurring the lines with the injury reports. So, but hey, as an old friend of mine said, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So, oh, okay. Well, let's go to the next game we had from last week. Another wonderful offensive slugfest. Auburn outlast Texas A&M 13-10. This is a
Wasn't
game.
Texas at the beginning of the season, like, supposed to be second or something? And they're
The media poll picked them second. I picked
yeah.
them. I picked them to finish actually fourth behind Arkansas and Ole Miss, because I did not trust their. They had several quarterbacks transfer out. Even though they had a strong defensive history, they had a lot of new players. There was
Mhm.
a lot of turnover there. There were questions that I had in my mind, but nobody could have expected what they've done this year. We'll see the standings in a little bit. They've won one game in the conference,
Right.
and they could win one more, but they're going to finish at least no better than tied for bottom in the West. Even Auburn is ahead of them right now, who was
Right.
projected to be last place.
Mhm.
So yes, Texas A&M has had a bad. They've had three offensive linemen injured out for the year. They've had player suspensions and locker room fights, and there's all kinds of stuff that's going over there in College Station, and the
Mhm.
offense has been really, really, really weak this year,
Mhm.
which is not help issues, especially when you lose at home to Appalachian State, and some other games that they could have won with just a little bit more of offensive production. So, but yeah, it's watch this. I did watch this game to a large degree, but it was really, really boring because I did flip it over to the Gator game at times because that was a little more exciting. But basically, what you have here is Auburn had about 115 more yards. Of course, a lot more yardage on the ground this week for Auburn. Uh, go along with the ugly score is 4 turnovers between the two teams, and you just not a good game to watch. Robbie Ashford for Auburn was 6 of 13 passing, 60 yards, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. Jarquez Hunter for Auburn had 13 carries for 121 yards. And Tank Bigsby, the preseason All SEC running back, had probably his best game of the year at 23 carries for 121 yards. Connor Wigman for A&M was 14 of 36 passing for 121 yards and a touchdown. To explain how bad Texas A&M's offense was in this game, they punted 9 times in the whole game. If that's not bad, Connor Wigman threw 13 straight incompletions in the second half of the game.
Mm.
So basically, if you take the 13 from the 36, he was 14 of 23, excluding them, which was not so bad not great, but not so bad. But could you? I mean, when you throw that many incompletions, your
It's gotta
offense,
mess with your brain.
it does, and your offense just goes in the tank. I mean, you
Mhm.
really the frustration. You're not moving the ball. You're punting, which is also leads to the 9 punts. And this result with Texas A&M 6 losses in the road, first time since 1972. Um, that's not much. I mean, it's really more of a negative on A&M, but good. Congrats for Auburn, because one of our Auburn fans is not here tonight, but he had said that he didn't think Auburn was going to win another game all year. But well,
Yay, they
they did.
did.
It might not have been pretty, but hey.
I wanna ask a question with,
Mhm.
seeing, like, the yards, when typically, I know it's not always the case. If a team wins, do they usually win on with a higher passing yards or rushing yards, or more of a combination of the 2? Or does
It
it depend on the team?
it depends on the team and the
Yeah,
game and the
okay.
situations. You could have weather that affects it, that forces a lot more running. You could have high
Mm,
winds. I mean, it just
yeah,
doesn't matter. Florida this year have won games with 300 yards passing and less running. Then they had the Missouri game where they won with only 66 yards passing, but almost 300 yards rushing. So
right.
it truly depends. But I will say, as a caution to that, if you have a team that is more run heavy, but they are in a game where they've had to pass, throw the ball a lot more, or they have more passing yards than rushing, it's usually not a good sign for that team. It means that they've gotten down early, or things have gotten out of control to where they had to throw instead of run, which
Okay.
they normally do. Um, and you could have the same case, a team that's not capable of throwing, getting so jammed up running with the defense is cramming the line, they're forced to throw and getting out of what they're usually good at doing. So it just
It just
depends.
depends. Okay.
Yeah, good question. Anybody else?
I
If you got
know. Thank
questions,
you.
anybody else with questions, feel free to throw them out. Okay, my game of the week, which is still was kind of, I don't know. I still like a passing Florida team, but they won. The Gators beat South Carolina 38-6. The Gamecocks lost on the road to the Gators again, 26-11 in terms of first downs, almost double the yards of Florida over South Carolina. This game really was not in question early on. Florida ran up the score early in the first half. You see only 44 yards for Carolina, but a 2-1 in times of possession advantage for the Gators. Carolina had 3 turnovers, so there's a lot that went bad for them early. Speaking of that, Carolina, they're only got a touchdown. Here's a case of a touchdown, but they went for 2 and missed it. Their one touchdown was on a fake punt where the punter hit the receiver for a pass that went for a touchdown. So at near the end of the first half. So Anthony Richardson for the Gators was 11 of 23 passing for 112 yards with 2 touchdowns. Montrell Johnson for the Gators carried 24 times for 161 yards and a touchdown. Trevor Etienne carried 8 times for 100 yards and a touchdown, while Spencer Rattler for Carolina was 18 of 26 passing, but for 145 yards. And then Kai Kroger, the punter for South Carolina, had a 48-yard touchdown pass to Kerryon Joyner. Now, see, one of the things I judge quarterback performance by, the NFL, it's more the yards per attempt. I judge it based on yards per completion. Because you see, Anthony Richardson had 11 completions, 112 yards. That's 10 yards of completion. I look at 10 yards of completion as a good thing, as a minimum. Whereas Spencer Rattler, 18 completions or 145 yards was less than 10 yards of completion. So a lot weaker offense. But that's not always the case, because sometimes it turns out to more points. But, like I said, and many times, you have some generalities, general thoughts, but in the end, every game's unique.
Mhm.
So, all right. Well, the shocker of the week, folks.
Vandy! Yay! I knew eventually they would win a game. I had faith in them.
I did. I thought they were going to be misery, but they didn't. And you know what's sad, though, this game that they won? They did it on the road. They couldn't win their game at home. So maybe they'll beat Florida this week for the Vandy fans, but I don't think that they're going. I don't think they have enough defense. Kentucky's offense has become very inept this year. And that's where Florida should have beaten them, but two turnovers really killed the Gators in that game. But first downs are even, more time of possession for Vanderbilt. Mike Wright for Vandy had 13 of 23 passing for 184 yards, touchdown and a pick. He was a starter at the beginning of the year when they won the first 3 games, then lost his job when the offensive struggles came in. He also carried 11 times for 126 yards and a touchdown. Ray Davis ran for 26 times for 129 yards and a touchdown. Will Levis for Kentucky, here we go again, 11 of 23 passing, under 50%, 109 yards, under 10 yards of completion, and an interception. Chris Rodriguez had 18 carries for Kentucky for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, and then what's sad for Vanderbilt was they nearly lost the game. Kentucky scored with about 5 minutes left on a 70-something yard touchdown run. Vanderbilt, you would have thought that they would have lost, but they came back and had a go-ahead touchdown with about 30 seconds left in the game.
Good for
Vandy. The first conference win since 2019, a stretch of 26 games.
Well, good for them.
Absolutely.
Maybe they'll make it too. I hope not. I'm sorry.
As long as they beat Tennessee, since my Tennessee fans are not here, I'll blame Tennessee. Let them beat Tennessee, not Florida. Alabama Ole Miss was probably the big game of the week. Alabama held off a late Ole Miss drive to win 30-24. The stats are pretty much Ole Miss had more offensive production, but Alabama held the ball longer. Bryce Young for Alabama, 21 of 33 passing for 209 yards, 3 touchdowns. Chase McClellan for the Tide carried 19 times for 84 yards. Jackson Dart for Ole Miss, the quarterback, was 18 of 31 passing for 212 yards and a touchdown, who tried to get on the last play of the game, try to get it into the end zone, but Alabama had very good coverage to not the pass away. Quinshon Judkins for Ole Miss carried for 25 times for 135 yards, 2 touchdowns. Malik Heath for Ole Miss had 6 catches for 123 yards. So that's some of these games, especially next week's games, are going to really be interesting. But that was the big game for the week. Another game was Georgia, the Battle of the Bulldogs. Georgia went on the road to face Mississippi State, a game that was 17-12 at halftime, relatively close, but Georgia comes out, outscores Mississippi State 28-7 in the second half.
So I want a question. Since it was so close the first half, why is that? Why don't they just kind of shut them out? Did they just taking it easy, or?
A lot of times it comes down to what they call halftime adjustments.
Okay.
You look and see what the defense has done or the other team's offense has done in the first half to you. Then and sometimes you see plays that would have worked, but they made the wrong read or it just was overthrown or something. Okay. So you go back and look for little things to change in your offense, things to focus on that you go to try to use to
gotcha.
make the adjustments to jumpstart things in the second half.
Right. Okay.
So that's kind of what happens with that. So it just doesn't always happen. See, Mississippi State did not make the right adjustments, obviously, because they ended up getting blown out in the second half. Stetson Bennett was for Georgia was 25 of 37 passing, 289 yards, had 3 touchdowns, threw 2 picks, but he also had a TD rushing. Ladd McConkey had 5 catches for the Dogs for 97 yards and a touchdown, and he also had a 70-yard rushing touchdown. Will Rogers for Mississippi State was 29 of 51 passing for 261 yards and a touchdown. Xavier Thomas for Mississippi State had a 63-yard punt return for a touchdown. That was at the end of the first half for Mississippi State, which pulled them to 17-12. So, all right. The Missouri played at Tennessee this week.
Wow.
Yeah, the Vols rolled big time, amassing over 700 yards of total offense. Even though Missouri had the ball longer by 8 minutes, you know, the double the yardage, double the first downs. Hendon Hooker was 25 to 35 passing for 355 yards, 3 touchdowns, 8 carries, and 50 yards with a touchdown.
I'm trying to figure out why could the time be disparaged that much? With passing, does the clock stop more when you have more passing, or is
Well,
it because they had more first downs and does the clock stop when they move the chains, or?
clock stops when they move the chains, for one thing. If you have incompletions when you're throwing the ball, stops the clock.
Okay.
But the thing is, but the other part is big plays. A lot of times, your big plays. If you have more big plays, you generally possess the ball less.
Okay.
So, and Missouri's offense is much slower paced than Tennessee's. They use more of the clock, and that's where that comes in.
Okay.
I mean, you wouldn't think so, but yeah, it happens because like Missouri's probably getting 3 to 6 yards a carry a play, and Tennessee's getting 10, 15 yards a play.
Okay.
So shorter drives too. Dylan Sampson for Tennessee had 8 carries for 98 yards with a touchdown. Tennessee had 2 players with 100-plus yards receiving. And guess what, folks? We have a Squirrel White sighting today. Yes, Squirrel White made another appearance with 2 catches for 64 yards for the Vols. Brady Cook for Missouri was 19 of 32 passing for 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, 16 carries, and 106 yards. So that's, that's pretty much what Vanderbilt did in the shell. They decent numbers, and you score 24 points, but when you don't have the defense, it's
right. They couldn't stop.
A game like that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that brings us to the overall SEC standings. Well, overall, Georgia, like we said, and if you want to hear more of the breakdown of it, I did have a stream that had been posted last night where I talked really a lot about where the conference sits right now. In the East, well, Georgia's still the leader, undefeated so far. Even if they lose this week at Kentucky, they still win the East regardless by virtue of the head-to-head win over Tennessee. But Kentucky's struggling so much that this should not be a hard game for the Bulldogs. But you never know when things happen. Kentucky still has a decent defense. The middle of the pack is right there could be any of the 3: Kentucky, Florida, South Carolina, and the traditionals at the bottom, Missouri and Vanderbilt. But over in the West, we've had a change that LSU has emerged on top. Even if LSU loses their last conference game and Alabama, Ole Miss win, LSU still wins the West by virtue of the head-to-head matchups.
Where was LSU predicted at the beginning of the season? Do you remember?
Fifth of 7 teams.
Wow. Okay.
What is and like as I mentioned last night, LSU is one of the surprise teams of the conference this year. Not more from the fact that nothing was expected of them. They had a new coach coming in, Chip Kelly from Notre Dame. They rotated off their roster. They had upwards of almost 40 players off the roster, retreaded, transfer, graduated, leave. Others come in. So, they had a lot of turnover, a lot of in there. So not much was expected, but hey, they just kept winning after they lost the opening game to FSU with a block extra point. But probably the play of the year was when they went for 2 instead of trying for they extend overtime against Alabama. And when they got that, they took control and, they won it themselves with that.
Right.
Most coaches, most times when you're at home, you just kick the tie and play for more overtimes.
Right.
But as you see, then Alabama, Ole Miss could have, once again, can't beat the big dogs. So they're stuck in the middle again, even though they had a good year. Arkansas disappointing in the 5th slot down there, but then the worst, as we said before, Texas A&M at 1-6, 3-7 overall. And not a good time there in College Station. So anyway, but that's
Mhm.
where the conference resides at this point. So this we hit the part of the show where we really talk a bit about football and football experiences. And I know with you being on once before, have you thought of any other experiences that we had with football that you can
Well,
maybe share?
I remember an experience I had with my dad. Like I said, I never had really been in with football, but I was a daddy's girl. And my dad took us to, oh my gosh, I can't remember what league it was. It was not the NFL. I think
The
the ASL,
USFL?
USFL maybe. Yes.
Yeah.
And we went and saw the Express. And, I was so excited because I was with my dad. I could care less about the football. I really didn't even understand it then. I probably was 10 or 11 years old, but just the whole atmosphere there it was just so neat. Um, uh, it just was a fond memory, that I had with my dad. And the biggest thing I remember is that, they, had a little pool on guessing how many people were in attendance,
Oh,
and my
geez.
dad won. So I was proud of my dad because he
Your
was
dad had that.
smart. He was
Your dad had
smart.
that ability to read the room and the cards and the everything.
Yeah,
Didn't
he was a genius, mathematician. His mind, um, was amazing, was just absolutely amazing. Um,
that
and, he probably sectioned off each one and estimated how many were any he yeah, it's just his mom. I never played cards with my dad. I'll just put it that way because he always won. He could tell me what cards I had in my hand at almost any given moment. But just going to sports with him, and I miss the fact that he wasn't here to see our kids play their football because I think he would have loved it. Um,
same
and
with my dad. Yeah.
and so I just remember that in my childhood. It was a wonderful experience to to go somewhere with my dad. Even if I didn't understand the sport, the fact that he took, there were 5 kids and one of them was a boy, and the fact that he took one of the girls to a sporting thing was a big deal. And so I liked it, and it just made me happy. And when I hear people talk about their experiences um here on the show, I always think of that one with my dad. Um, so yeah, that was a good experience I had with
Well,
football.
that's awesome to hear about that,
Mhm.
especially with doing things with your dad's.
Mhm.
Do you mind if I share one with my dad?
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead.
Well, you remember back in the early '80s, all the stadiums were those bench metal seats.
Mhm. Oh, yes.
Yeah, you know how cold they could get when it's like 20. It was like that winter down here. We were close to single digits, I believe. It was definitely in the low 20s, if not teens, when they had the bowl game at night. Pipes were freezing and stuff.
Right.
Well, I think it was my dad, my uncle, and me. We went watched the Gators play in a bowl game. I kept heckling this poor Iowa fan because he's like, "Come on, Chuck!" Chuck Long was the quarterback. "Come on, Chucky, baby, throw a touchdown!" I kept yelling, "Come on, Chucky, baby, throw an interception!" And then it happened. It was like, "Holy crap!" Got the little kid there with all the adults around. But it was funny though. What made it really hilarious was that winter, that Christmas, my mother bought us these silk underwear, very thin, very silk underwear. I refused to wear them out. I ended up wearing. Think I'm probably not. I probably wore thermals also because it was that cold. My dad wore a pair of jeans
Yes.
and the silk underwear.
Oh, yep.
All he could complain all night was his ass getting cold.
Oh, yeah, freezing.
He complained for years after that his ass still hadn't thawed out. It cold that night.
Yep. Yeah, because those benches can get cold.
Absolutely,
Yeah. Mhm.
it was
As hot
very,
as they get in the summer, they get just as cold in the winter.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
That's
So this year with let's go into a little bit more since you've looked at the stats and had to do the slides and all the well not had to it's been a
Yes,
labor of
I
love.
had to. I had to. You
Well,
made me. He forced me, everybody. No, he
nah,
didn't. No, I'm just kidding.
at least you
Help,
didn't say just serious that time. So
help, help. No,
jeez. Uh,
I'm
but
kidding, guys.
I know. Hey, but any things that you've really noticed or that you picked up on or that you may have learned?
Well, kind of looking at the stats and, and not really knowing not having watched any of the games really to know the plays and stuff behind them. I seem to notice that usually when, the winning teams, obviously they use more of the time. I think they were upset exceptions, I think, but, they tended to have the ball more, um, but the interceptions or the turnovers were not always correlated with the winning or losing team. You would think that the losing team would have more, turnovers, but that wasn't always the case. I thought that
Mhm.
was kind of interesting, um, that, I noticed, and, I I I forgot what I was gonna say. I think, like, with the, passing and the rushing, um, I tended maybe I was wrong, but the, throwing, there's tended to be more passing yardage
Mhm.
on winning teams than rushing yardage for the most part. What I think I
Mhm.
noticed. I might be remembering wrong. I have a bad memory, but I just thought that was really kind of, interesting. And I
Mhm.
just love some of the names of the players.
Well,
Um,
we found out about Squirrel White.
Squirrel and yeah, and Hooker, which apparently if you type it in the chat, it won't. I have to Ahmad has to approve it,
Wow.
because
I,
nobody can have that as a last name. Um, so yes, it's some very interesting names. So
yeah, definitely. Definitely it that's one of the things I like with sports is when you come across some really, really interesting names. We've been to minor league baseball and seen one really interesting name, which we won't say.
which we're not allowed to say.
Yeah, it was fun pronunciation, but yeah, it, it, it's a good way to, you got to feel for some of those players sometimes with some of the names, though, because they're gonna get hell from the visiting fans when they
Right.
go on the
Well,
road.
maybe they like it. Maybe they use that to pump themselves up.
Yeah. Well, we actually when I was in college, we were giving the right fielder such a hard time once. He threw the ball over at us.
It's a
And then
good way to go.
of course when they won, he went off ran towards the infield like you do in baseball, and he's flipping us off the whole time repeatedly as he's jumping. It's like, and we did the golf clap. Okay, you did it. You won. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, the
Mhm.
joys of sports.
Well, I
Um,
remember talking about sports with our kids. I remember did we tell the one time with the when they were younger and our oldest was the quarterback and the line apparently wasn't they had to wait for the ref until the
but go
line was.
ahead, go ahead and say it. Tell it again. It's a
Well,
good story.
they had to wait until the ref gave the clear that they could play, that the line was set. This was, very casual flag football kind of, in a sense. It wasn't a league per se. Um, so our oldest thought that it had been called, and so they start to do the call, and the ref blows his whistle and says, "I haven't. No, stop! I didn't tell it. Say the line was set." And so, Ninja's like, "Okay."
And it
So
was a friend of ours officiating.
yeah, it was a friend of ours. So Ninja's standing there waiting with her arms crossed, kinda waiting, and, she finally turns around and looks at him, she goes, "Is the line set?" Just, probably should have gotten a
She
whistle on that one.
screamed it at the
But
top of her
but she
lungs.
screamed at the top of his lungs, and he just laughed. He's like, "Yes." And so they started to play, but I just thought that was just so I just thought that was so funny
Well,
because
it was like so frustrating. Like they're close enough, but it was like they did. But you know what? Was that the game, or was that like later in the season? Because that team at that age did not pass the ball much. It was more handoff then because they really were younger.
yeah, it was a lot of
But the coach came to me at halftime and said, because I'd watched the first half, you try shotguns when the ball dropped, hit the ground, it's dead ball. It stopped. They could not run any offense because the ball kept hitting the ground the whole first half. Well, he comes to me at halftime and says, "Do you mind if your daughter plays quarterback?" I'm like, "Not at all," because she went, got under center, and even the snaps, she didn't drop a ball. And they could actually play. They didn't win, but they actually could run some offensive plays.
Oh, and what's so funny in all these games and all the years that they played, my husband gets very excited sometimes in the games, and so he kinda has to walk away. And one time he walked way, way far away, and we always joke that he looked like that, the creepy guy at the football games that's way out there watching the game. But, yeah, he was to control himself because he would scream and yell and get a little bit too excited and not to embarrass the kids, he would, just step away and watch the game from afar.
Yeah,
He
I
he
know.
was excited. He got excited, and they did some good plays. It was fun, surprisingly fun to watch.
Well, I
Yeah.
will tell you, Aang could be a professional center. That kid's got a natural snap.
Oh,
She
yeah.
can snap 8 feet back. I mean, it's just
The
amazing. And the
accuracy. Yep.
hand Aang has are just, if it's close, he's going to get it. There's
Yep.
not the ball's not going to hit the ground.
Yep.
And Ninja was just so fast. And uh, the biggest problem Ninja had was the boys not lobbing her the ball instead of throwing it at her. Because
Yep.
when a ball's lobbed at you, it's completely different than when you catch it. With our kids, we always told them one thing is like, you're going to get out there and play with the boys. You got to play it right and be prepared for what happens. And
Mhm.
Ninja was like, throw me the damn ball right.
"I'll catch it.
And
Throw it to me. You will not hurt
yeah,
me in any way. Throw me the ball. I will catch it."
exactly. Why don't you you might have said it before, but since we're having fun, talk about the one time at the homeschool play day that
Oh.
apparently,
Oh, they were playing, the boys were playing tackle football and, or maybe a little more aggressive, touch football, I'm not sure, but it involved some physical contact, and, both of our kids asked to play, and, they're like, "Well, okay, but, we're kinda playing rough, is it okay?" I'm like, "Hey, listen, I've told my kids if, you're out there playing, if you get I don't want you, throwing punches at them, but if they get hurt in the play of the game, then that's part of the game is playing. So they're like, okay, but we're playing rough. I'm like, okay, fine. They understand. So they were playing, and at some point, one of the boys come crying to his mom because our youngest tackled him and he didn't like it, and it was too rough, and he cried to him, and I'm thinking, "Come on. I told you they can play. Why didn't you trust me?"
yep,
So
yep.
so, yep. I don't know if that is a testimony or commentary on the weeniness of the boys there or the toughness of my kids.
I,
I'm not sure which one that is truly a testament to, but they
we're
can play. They can play. I mean, they did pylons with their cousins
mhm.
and I wasn't all this, "Oh, don't be careful, they're girls." I'm like, "If you're gonna go play with them and do wrestling with them or whatever,
Yeah,
you're playing," and that's part of the thing. So we never ever we always told our kids, "If you're gonna play, you know, if you get hurt in the course of the game, don't whine don't whine about that person who did it unless,
right.
they did a sucker punch or something, but
Yep.
usually, you get an elbow sometimes because 'cause you're playing a aggressive game, and of course, we also did play full contact croquet, so, Um, we'll
Oh,
leave it at that.
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we haven't even gotten into basketball stories.
Oh gosh.
Ninja only played 1 year, but Aang played a long time, and I missed those days. Aang was
Mhm.
like, I told her never shoot a 3-pointer because you can't. It kept working at it, nailed a 3-pointer in practice against right in front of me and in front of the adults, and everybody laughed at me like, "Hey." But
Mhm.
anyway, I won't derail us off the basketball because maybe we'll have to talk basketball because I got some cool officiating stories and coaching
Oh
stories
goodness,
along the
yeah.
way. Yeah, you like the missus knows one very good. There are two great memories of basketball that I've coached. One was I felt like I was the visiting coach at the. I took the Gators or say Tennessee head coach going into Lexington, Kentucky on the road. The game in a church league went from no, of course we were playing the team that was stacked with two pro players. We picked up one kid for 1 week, and that second half was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. But I'm proud of my kids with that one. That I'll tell that story another time. But then the other one was when somebody nearly got me thrown out of a game. She
Why?
was
I just
really
was counting
she,
to 5 over and over again.
it was 3, but you
Yeah.
said it a little too loud in that gym that the official finally.
Well, said
But he was right though. He kept letting our Aang is tall
he
already.
let the other team camp in the paint, and
Yeah,
our kids would just brush it, and they'd get
yeah,
a call for 3
yeah,
seconds,
yeah.
and then they weren't and it was
Uh,
BS, and I just wanted him to know that we knew how to count.
oh
And he
gosh.
didn't appreciate it, and he thought it was Dadman instead of me, so he threatened to throw him out of the game.
Hey, would you have liked to have been the? How would you like to have taken over the coaching right then?
That's fine, I would have, and I would have still continued to count to 3.
But I did realize that year, and I loved that team. It was an all girls team.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I learned definitely have the missus as my assistant coach because one of our kids put the ball in the wrong basket and promptly ran straight to the women's restroom. I turned and looked at missus and put my hands up like,
Yeah, he couldn't find, so
I
I
like so. But for it all settled down. But we got many adventures like that. Maybe we ought to have a stream where we share crazy, stupid.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Maybe
Well,
we get all kind of fun stuff. So anything else with football? So we'll move
nope,
on.
nope,
Anything?
time to see the polls.
All right. Well, we'll look at the polls now and looking nationally. That way, if anybody's out there wanting to chat about anything nationally, Big 12, Pac-10, all the Pac-12. Here's where we come into basically with the AP Top 25. The college football poll itself for the playoffs has the same top 6 teams: Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, Tennessee, and LSU. We talked about last night how Ohio State, Michigan loser will drop out more than likely. Question is, will TCU go undefeated? A Big 12,
Who is TCU?
Texas Christian University.
Okay, thank you. I
They're
was
in the
too
Big
lazy to look.
12. Basically, with their conference, they have to go undefeated if they're going to make a playoff.
Okay.
Um, then you got Tennessee and LSU here. Well, what I've been saying is that if, say, LSU beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, you take out the Michigan, Ohio State, and if TCU loses, you could have Georgia, LSU, and possibly Tennessee, 3 of the 4 in a playoff with one Big 12 team or Big 10 team in the field. But what was brought up today that I've heard is you look at USC at number 7. If they win out UCLA this week, win next week, then they win the Pac-12 championship game, they would be a conference winner. That could be enough to get them to jump a one-loss Tennessee team from the SEC.
Mhm.
So the question is up in Knoxville that I heard on the radio today was who do they hate cheer this going forward? I mean, one of the Big 10 teams is obvious. They want TCU to lose. They probably won't use it USC to get knocked off somehow. That would probably give them more of a shot. because it's not very likely a one-loss Clemson would jump them, even as a conference winner. But you never know. There's a lot to be decided, a lot going on. But really, Tennessee's best shot is that actually, really, for Tennessee, they really need Georgia to just beat LSU because a 3-loss LSU team will not be invited.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When they do the poll, does each? I mean, I'm sure they're individuals that are doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do they take
Well,
and
wait,
rank
on the coaches and the AP poll,
the
they are.
AP?
The official playoff selector poll.
Well, I'm talking about this poll right here,
Okay.
this
Okay.
AP poll.
Yes, these are sports
So
writers.
so they have so each sports writer picks their top 25,
Right.
and then they rank them by obviously,
They
I see
rank
like
them, and each position has a point value. Like number one
okay,
would have 25 points.
okay.
That's why you see that Georgia's not 1575 because one of the first place votes went to Ohio State.
Right. Right. Okay.
So the conference has 5 teams in the top 25 in the AP poll. Tulane is 21. They lost last week, so they fell a little bit. The
I'm just happy to
Beavers, the Beavers are back in the 25 now.
I was happy to see Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm always happy to see some of these teams that I never even knew existed.
Mm-hmm.
Down, even if they're down low, but at least they're in the top 25. Because they'll never ever get a playoff thing, but to see them in here, that always makes me feel good because, gosh darn it, just because they're small doesn't mean they shouldn't deserve some recognition.
No, absolutely not. They deserve some recognition and stuff like that. So it's awesome. It's interesting how these polls work and how they change from time to time. See, like there, like it was mentioned, USC's number 7. UCLA is 16th. That's a rivalry game this week that could end up shaping the playoff going forward if UCLA can beat them. So it's a lot to be said. There's some top Pac-12 teams in here, some ACC teams. So I like what you say. I like new teams in the poll. It makes things interesting,
especially the smaller ones, because they'll never, you'll never see them in a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Ollie discount bowl or something. I mean, just some not one of the big ones. And I just think it's neat to see them at least recognized a little bit.
Yeah.
Of course, I cheer for Vanderbilt too. So what can I say?
Absolutely.
Of course, not this next game because.
Yeah. But hey, so my favorite Beavers, they're down at the bottom. At least one of my teams is in the polls. So, but we'll see what happens over the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. A lot to be decided, a lot of drama here. Really, if you like drama, if you like football, there is a lot of on the line here right now with this stuff. So, but hey, well, let's look at the coaches poll real quickly. It generally mirrors the AP poll. Obviously, you see USC ahead of LSU, which goes into factor towards that combined playoff poll.
But USC was ahead of them last week too, so they just basically both just moved up.
Yeah,
up
the main one that counts is that playoff poll, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing. So it's a big thing. A lot of teams are saying Tulane, Coastal Carolina, but you see a few like the Beavers are not in here. So it's but it's these top 7 teams. LSU is only in it with 2 losses because they get to face Georgia and could be a conference champion. Right. So that's really what it's coming down to there. Otherwise, it's really probably these other 6 teams. But you never know. A lot to be had in the last 3 weeks. So that brings us to this week's games this week. All right. Well, folks, we're not going to necessarily hit every single game this week because there are so many paycheck games this week. Like East Tennessee State at Mississippi.
I should have
State,
just put dollar signs over
yeah,
the
he says he
color.
gets a paycheck. New Mexico State will get a paycheck against Missouri. So let's start at first with Ole Miss and Arkansas. Arkansas leads the series overall 37-29 and one tie. The Arkansas's longest streak is 5 wins from 1985 to 1989. Arkansas margin of victory, the largest one they had was 44-8 back in 2007. For Ole Miss, the longest winning streak in the series they had was 6 games from 1958 to 1970. And yes, that's not 6 years, but remember the SEC's had a lot of changes and stuff over the years. And say, I just got to say, hi, yes, we got plenty of paychecks, Squeaka. So good to see you there. But yeah, paycheck games. Hey, throw that money around. But yeah, hey, yep.
Oh,
So
by the way, hello, Squeaka.
Hey, yep. Say hi. Okay. So glad to have you here with us, Squeaka, tonight. Ole Miss's streak is 6 games, 58-70, as I said. But remember that back then the conference was, I think, 10 teams back then. They did not necessarily play each other every year. There's reasons why you don't have like 6 in a row. Ole Miss's largest margin of victory against Arkansas was 28-0 back in 1953.
Wow.
And the current streak is Ole Miss has won 1 game, and that was in 2021. And howdy, y'all. Back to you. Good old howdy. Love the howdies. Guess when this first game happened?
1932.
Not quite. The first game of this series was played back on October 10th of 1908.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Just a few years ago. And Arkansas won that game 33-0. So, hey, in this series, Ole Miss has won 5 of the last 8 games. Coming into the game, Ole Miss is 8-2 overall, 4-2 in the conference, while Arkansas comes in a disappointing 5-5 and 2. Wow. I never thought of that date preceding the independence. I love it. Oh, 1722. I love it. So that's this series in a nutshell. It goes back a ways. They haven't played, so much over the years compared to.
So it really, even just looking at all the statistics, all the history and stuff, it still is. It's not like really leaning toward one or the other,
Right.
and like historical winnings or anything like that.
Oh,
It's, to me, just like either one of them. It's a toss up still, kind of.
hey, well, I tell you what, good segue, excellent segue.
Oh,
You read my mind, you know me.
I do.
The next game, number 1 Georgia is on the road at Kentucky. Georgia comes in at 10-0, 7-0 in the conference. Kentucky, again, a disappointment, 6-4, 3-4. And if you have a chance, go back and watch my show last night where I talked about the surprises, the disappointments, the what ifs that happened in the league this year as it currently sits. Really some interesting stuff that I left out there. But to your point about one-sided, not one-sided, they've played 75 times. Georgia has won 61 of those 75 matches. Kentucky's won 12 times with 2 ties. The current winning streak is for Georgia for 12 games in a row.
Wow.
From 2010 to 2021.
Georgia's. Well, I think there's an upset coming up. Not.
If Kentucky had any offense, possibly, but this Georgia team is just too damn good this year.
History's on Georgia's side.
And people thought Georgia was going to be down this year, though. But you ought to hear Ninja giving Stetson Bennett hell, though. She's like trashing him in a text. I'm like, wait, you got the best team in the country, and you're writing him. But hey, largest margin of victory for Georgia in this series was 62-17. Kentucky, longest winning streak in the series is 2 games, 1949 to 1956. The largest margin of victory for Kentucky was 33-0 back in 1977. Jerry Claiborne was a coach for Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So would you like to take a guess at the first game in this series?
The year, I will say, let's see, since the other one was 1908. Was 1908, right? Mississippi was
Right.
1908.
Right.
I'm going to say 1913.
Well, it went the other way. It's actually
1906?
no.
1901?
No, you're going even worse.
Well, you should say higher or lower. We need to do the Price is
Oh,
Right thing.
well, I guess would it be higher or would it be? It would be higher, I guess.
1901.
No, the other way. Whatever.
1912?
No.
Higher or lower?
Higher.
Oh, 1933?
Closer, higher.
1935?
Higher.
37?
Higher.
45?
No, lower.
40?
Lower.
39? 38?
39.
30.
Hey, at least Squeaker was a little closer this time with 1913, but 1969 such a fine year to be had by all moon landings and other stuff. But hey, yeah, 1939 they played actually the first time this game. Kentucky, the University of Kentucky is centered in Lexington, Kentucky, but they played this game in Louisville, Kentucky, and Kentucky won it 13-6. But if you thought the one-sided history of the overall 61-75 was bad enough, Georgia has won 23 of the last 25 matchups in this series.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Poor Kentucky.
It's that bad. I mean, Kentucky had a long losing streak to Florida until about 3 years ago. Now they seem to be like Missouri, giving Florida a hard time. So,
yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's move on to the next game. We got Tennessee at South Carolina.
Ching.
This is not a paycheck game.
Oh, I thought it was.
No.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
Mississippi State and East Tennessee.
Oh,
Tennessee and South Carolina. I'm sorry, I always got following the list.
Yeah, I kind of blew through those.
I just heard Tennessee. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. Same thing.
I was just so mesmerized by the statistics of Georgia and Kentucky.
Because remember, we talked about it because we got this comment here.
Yep. I'm sorry. I forget. We got cha-ching, and then Tennessee, South Carolina.
Yes. Okay. So with the Vols, they're on the road at South Carolina. Tennessee leads this series 28-10-2 ties. The current streak as Tennessee has won 3 in a row from 2019 to 2021. Tennessee's largest margin of victory is 54-0.
Wow.
Back in 1929.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Tennessee's longest winning streak in the series was 12 games from 1993 to 2004. So South Carolina's largest margin of victory was 24-0 back in 1903. And South Carolina's longest winning streak in the series has been 3 games back in 2010 to 2012. Mm-hmm. So let's take, first game between Tennessee, South Carolina. What year do you think?
1903.
I was going to wait for anybody in the chat to say too, if they wanted to, but you are correct. 1903.
I only guessed that because you said that was one of the leading.
I didn't think so. Well, anyway,
that's when South Carolina, their largest winning margin was in.
Oh, Well, 24-0, same year. Yeah.
See, I'm listening.
October 29th, 1903. Exactly. That was a good one. 1914 was very close too. So, hey. Tennessee comes in at 9-1, 5-1 in the conference. South Carolina 6-4, 3-4. In the last 14 games, they've split at 7-7. What's odd is one South Carolina won a game. Tennessee won a game. I think it was Tennessee won. South Carolina won a game. Tennessee won 3 in a row. South Carolina won 3 in a row, and Tennessee has won the last 3 in a row. So it's really a run of streaks there. So, and of course, Tennessee are the Volunteers, Davy Crockett, and then South Carolina, they're just the Gamecocks. So, we love South Carolina, but they got bad roads up there, but they got cheap gas. You remember some of our excursions up to Carolina?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would say the friendliest truck drivers though on the road. We got first game between Peacocks and Mice, 2023.
Yes.
All right, I look forward to that one. That's awesome too. Okay, we got one more game that we're going to flip the slide. Go ahead with the sound effects on this one, Mrs., if you want to.
Okay. Cha-ching.
Okay. Now we got Florida at Vanderbilt, which is almost a paycheck game, but you never know because Florida has stumbled up there a few times or come close to it.
It depends on which Florida team shows up, man.
Absolutely. Well, the Gators lead the series 43-10-2. Current streak is the Gators have won 8 games in a row from 2014 to 2021. The Gators' largest margin of victory was in the great days of the great Steve Spurrier, the head ball coach, 71-13.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yep. The Gators' longest streak in the series was 22 games from 1989 to 2012.
Wow.
Yep. Not quite as bad as that Georgia-Kentucky one, though, but it's up there.
It's close.
So Vandy's largest margin of victory is 20-0 back in 1946. Vanderbilt has actually won 3 games in a row back in the years of 1945 to 1949. Okay, so guess what year the first game was played between these two schools?
Let's see.
I do remember it's 43-10-2. They played 55 times.
45. 38.
What, 1938?
Uh-huh. No, 2038. Yeah, 1938.
You could, well, with
oh no, it could have been 1838. You are correct. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because we got this earlier, so we could.
I say 19. Well, see, I can't do math, so I'm just going to say 1938.
Okay, all right, that's a good guess. Well, let me see. The first game in this series happened on October 13th. It's funny. It seems like a lot of October games,
Mm.
So it makes me wonder if the games were played later in the year, way back when.
Right.
And not so much August or early September.
Right.
But October 13th, 1945.
45. I should have said 45.
Vanderbilt won 7-0.
Oh, wow.
1920. Thank you for playing. We love playing. We love it when people play. That was close. But yeah, you know what's interesting in this series, though? The Gators have. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Please go.
Oh, you sure? Okay. What's interesting in this game, the Gators have won 30 of the last 31 games. Yes.
So Vanderbilt's due.
Well, yes, technically, but here's what's really interesting with this series, though, my lady. Vanderbilt actually won 6 of the first 11 games, and there was one tie in there. So out of the first 12 games, they won 6 tied ones.
Wow.
So Vanderbilt at one point had the lead. And actually, one ththing that I heard today was that with Tennessee Vanderbilt, it's a rivalry game. Robert Neyland, General Neyland, Neyland's Stadium was named for, big Tennessee historical coach, and big. It's kind of like the Gator Steve Spurrier, but probably even bigger in football circles. It took him 3 years to beat Vanderbilt, and so basically his job was to go there to beat Vanderbilt.
Oh wow!
So at one point, Vanderbilt was respected in football, and really, because I think it was a statue. There was something that they left up, or it was a quote. I can't remember exactly what happened, but but after the game, it was like a big thing, and his quote was he was hired to beat Vanderbilt.
Well, I truly do think it does depend on what Florida team shows up because, guys, they have been so unpredictable this year.
Mm-hmm.
They've been like really good and then really stinky. And just Vanderbilt, they won a game. They might be a little, hepped up and everything. And, they might just, depending if Florida's on one of their, down swings, Vandy might beat them. I'm not saying they will, but I'm just saying I don't see it as a not going to happen, you know, because we've just seen all levels of play with Florida, you know.
Even when Florida's been at home, look at the
Yeah,
Missouri game. It took defensive touchdown to win that game. They only scored 24 points against a bad Missouri defense. They threw the ball for 66 yards passing after 2 weeks earlier throwing for 400 plus yards against Tennessee and scoring
right.
30-something points. This is the team that took a botched field goal attempt against USF to miss the field goal that could have forced overtime. This is the Florida team that at home was playing Kentucky with the Gator quarterback throws one pick six, but then at the end of near the end of the first half gives the ball basically to Kentucky at the 6-yard line for another
Right.
short touchdown.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm
and it's
saying.
also, and not to blame the offense so much, it's also the team that had LSU at home that scored 35 points on offense, but gave up 45.
Right.
So, like you said, what team shows up?
Right. And like I say, Vandy's on a high right now. They got their first win in what, 3 seasons?
Yes, in the
So,
conference, yes.
in the right.
Yeah.
So
And
they might
technically, if you look at Vanderbilt, had they won that game against Missouri, they would be 5-5 right now, with a chance if they beat Florida could be bowl eligible.
right.
I mean, that's how like I said last night, if you don't get a chance to, if you're bored or whatever, there's some decent stuff I put out last night. But like I talked about the what ifs. Missouri was one of the teams. You look at Missouri, they could have been 8-2 instead of 5-4, what they are, or 4-5,
Mm-hmm.
because they lost so many close games.
Right.
Vanderbilt, if they picked off that one game against Missouri, could have been 500 right now.
Right.
And like you said, it's not likely for Florida to lose this game, but the game has to be played. Vanderbilt has a lot to play for.
Yeah.
And Florida has historically had problems up there in Vanderbilt. So you never know. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, anything else? Oh, wait. Yeah, take us out to the next 3 paycheck games, Mrs.
Cha-ching, cha-ching, and cha-ching.
Yeah. That's
Now, how do you say that last one? Austin
P.
P? Well, why do they have a Y at the end of it?
Well, some people call it pay.
P-A?
No, pay.
Pay?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
I just was curious. I was too lazy to go look up the pronunciation of it.
let me see. I will look that up real quick. Yeah. Let me see. Oh, there's videos out there how to say Austin P. Let's see if this thing.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's all. I was thinking that you could see one of those where they spell it out, but it's all the video stuff.
It doesn't matter.
But some have called it Austin Pay, and others have called it Austin P. So
yeah,
I usually go Austin P.
Okay. I just was curious. It's still a cha-ching.
Cha-ching, yes, exactly. Of course, you can always talk about it. Austin Powers movie, that one scene. Mm-hmm. But anyway. So here we stand overall with me and the guest. Overall, I'm 6-1. Last week I was 6-1 with my guest picker and guest on the show, Angelo, who was 5-2. So overall, we've made it to 68-24 for me, 62-30. And hi, Geeky.
Hello, hello.
Hey, glad you made it. Glad you made it.
Since I'm here, I don't have to write it in the comments. I'll just say hello.
Exactly. Oh man, and I go back and watch a little bit. Tennessee might be able to get into it, but I was presented with another option where USC could jump Tennessee, even if Tennessee wins out. You guys up there definitely want USC to lose at some point. It'll make it easier. So, and hello, Mrs. Dadman.
Hello, hello.
Hey. So, but hey, over the course of the weeks, this is week 12 and 13. So the missus is here again. Our previous or misses before, the great Squeaker Mouse, who used cheese. Our engineer, Mark D with a C, who went a perfect 12-0 and will reign forever. Culture Casino was here. Rambling Canuck. Gen X guy was here with us twice. We had the great clobbering times. We had Esh Singh, who used all kinds of dice rolls and stuff to come up with a really crazy system that worked. And the great Whoopa Troopa. And then we had Aang. So that's a history of what we had this year. Yes, you definitely want to root against USC. Let me do something really quick before you, because I do want to address this really quickly since Geeky is here and he was a big Tennessee fan. What I was hearing out of the sports animal in Knoxville today was the talk about Tennessee in here. We talked about it before with if LSU beat Georgia, possibly getting 3, including Tennessee in here. With Ohio State, Michigan, the loser falling out. Need TCU to lose also. But the thing that I was confronted with today that came up was USC lurking. The danger for Tennessee with USC there is if they win out, they'll be playing for a Pac-12 championship. If they win the Pac-12 championship, there's that debate about them being a conference champions. And with the between the polls, the voters, you can't say no to the possibility of USC jumping Tennessee with Tennessee not having been a conference winner. So you definitely want TCU and USC to lose. That'll make the path a lot easier. And TCU's been struggling with some games lately and pulling them out. So you never know. But USC has to play UCLA this weekend. UCLA 16th in the nation. So crosstown rivalry. You never know. Maybe that'll work out. But, hey, in any event, Tennessee had one hell of a year this year. That's a lot to be proud of and to, be happy for. So we're back to here where we stand. The great Aang last week, just one game divided us. So, but hey, I don't mind losing these, but it's been fun to eat with every guest this year. And honestly, for anybody out there that's not watched a lot of these, or if you're new to the show, go back and watch some of the preceding shows. You don't have to focus on yes, exactly, for Tennessee. After 20 years of futility, yes, you couldn't be happier for them. And as much as I've hated Tennessee, I'm glad they love their football, and I'm glad, especially when they tear the goalpost down and dump them in the Tennessee River. That's cool. That's what football is all about. The only thing is I have to listen to god-awful Rocky Top all the time. But okay. Although it's kind of becoming I like it as a torture song. So it's weird. So, you know how to torture me. But,
Oh, goodness.
But as I was saying, go back and watch these shows. I mean, everyone was great. Don't worry about the football part of the stats. Just go listen to about the fourth segment where where the guests talk about their football experiences, their memories. They've all been wonderful. From Mrs. has had her stories. Squeak has had her stories. Mark has had food and tailgating. If you want to get hungry again, go watch that one. Casino and I had a very in-depth theoretical football conversation and in history. I got lost in the discussion. Rambling Canuck was here talking the differences between Canadian football and American football, and even shared clips of his son playing football up there. Gen X had a lot of his memories. Clobby was more NFL. Esh, we just kind of had to wing it with whatever we came up because he's more of a European or international football guy. And Whoopa was like, we went 2.5 hours because a guy knows his stuff. So, but hey, go back and watch those shows as you can. Which leads us to this week's picks. You ready, Mrs.?
Sure. Yay. Let's
I
go.
can't remember which how. Okay, Ole Miss at Arkansas. And Mrs. takes.
See, I'm
Arkansas.
thinking that if they have their quarterback, and I think that they could win. I'm thinking they could win, and that's what I'm hoping.
Ole Miss has had a couple hiccups this year too. I mean, they laid a big egg at LSU.
I mean, considering how Arkansas, even though they might not have won, but they got close with backups against, I just think that they're going to do it. I think if they get their main quarterback healthy, I think they could come back and do it. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
I'm just, their defense has been so inconsistent. That's the problem that I have with them because they stopped people like last week against LSU who'd been hot, and then they've given up like tons of points to Alabama. So I'm going to say in this game, I'm going to take Ole Miss.
Boo.
I don't have a problem with Arkansas winning it. I just don't trust Arkansas. I picked them to finish second. They dumped on me this year. I just don't trust them.
Well, I hope that they win.
Yeah, they could. It's very possible. He says, "Bahaha, home sweet home to me." I don't say nothing like the Pride of the Southland Marching Band. Band geek. Hey, we love bands here.
I'm a band geek. Band geek. Yep.
Yeah, you were in a marching band, weren't you?
I was in the marching band. Yes, I was.
Yeah, I love bands. That's why I love college football. Is when they I hate the piped in stadium music crap. Turn that crap off and let the bands play nonstop.
Oh gosh, just some of you can. I don't think you could show the video here, but some of the bands are freaking amazing. And when they have like the band competitions and stuff, and the marching band, and that's it. I mean, I could just watch it. To me, it's just halftime all day, and I love the bands. And a good performing marching band is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That is all.
Absolutely.
Yay, band geeks.
Bands make football cool.
I think so.
It definitely does. So we come into next week. Next game is we got Georgia and Kentucky, and hey, we both took the dogs.
Yeah. Well, come on.
Yeah. We had this Kentucky was yay. Georgia was Kentucky has no offense. The only hope is to make it a sluggish defensive festival, and there's really not much you can do with that game for Kentucky. I think Georgia can name its score at this point, but Georgia has a habit of putting up a bunch of points early and then coasting the rest of the way too. So, any other thoughts with that one?
No, Georgia. Yep. Just it's Georgia, and Georgia is it this year.
Mm-hmm. All righty. Well, we'll go to the next two paycheck games, which will be pretty easy.
Cha-ching. Cha-ching.
Yeah, exactly. So there's not much in New Mexico football-wise. And Mississippi State will probably put up a lot of points on East Tennessee. So that's pretty much about it. Which takes us to Tennessee, South Carolina, and we both agree with the Volunteers again.
Yep.
I just think go ahead.
I just think they're going to win. They're doing good.
Yeah. The problem with South Carolina is they don't have enough, like Kentucky, their offense is stagnant and they don't have enough defense to stop the Tennessee powerhouse offense. It's been, just the points Tennessee can put up is amazing. 66 this last week to Missouri was just astounding with what they did. And yes, we do. I've The only marching band, LOL, it's been a while. You know what's kind of funny is in some of the movie theaters, some of the Fathom events have band competitions.
Oh, yes.
We've seen them, but we've not heard about them when they went live. So,
Yeah.
uh, sorry, clear my throat. I need to quit eating peanut M&Ms. It just it comes up they get stuck there. So,
When
uh,
I was in the marching band, one time it was rainy, and they were like, "Be careful walking on the lines, all the markings on the field, because you could hit them, and man, you would go." It was horrible. That was so hard because not only did you have to play, you had to, you know, watch literally where you were stepping so you wouldn't step on those lines. But yeah, I loved.
yes, and um, no, Will Muschamp was fired a couple years ago. Shane Beamer, son of Frank Beamer from Virginia Tech, is the coach now. So it's yeah. You're a little bit about 2 years behind, but hey, not bad, not bad. And yeah, those darn peanut M&Ms, but you can't say no to them. That's what makes them so bad. You can't say no. Oh man. So anyway, well, let's go through the rest of our picks. We got UMass at Texas A&M. Hey, guess what? I think probably A&M can finally beat somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope so.
Oh well, you're really. Hey, at least you know who your current coach is for your team. That's all you need to know. That's cool. Okay, here's the game. Florida Vanderbilt. We both took the Gators.
I really want Vandy to win, but I do think Florida will pull it out, unless, like I said, unless that sucky Florida team comes lurking around again.
2 to 3 weeks ago, I would have given Vanderbilt a chance. But I think Florida might have righted the ship enough because they've actually been better play calling in terms of actually designing runs for the quarterback as well as throwing. That
Mhm.
game against Texas A&M uh, was incredible to watch. That game that they actually designed runs for him as well as throwing.
Right.
So and even the South Carolina game, it looks like they're finally getting some kind of normalcy. So.
Right.
But hey, but then again, the coach threw another defender off the team for violation of team rules. So the turnover still continues in Gainesville. We'll see what
Mhm.
happens next year, really. Okay, so then you ready for
Yep,
the sound
yep.
effects?
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
So and that pretty much does it. We have one disagreement. It
Yep.
comes down to Arkansas Ole Miss this week. So hey, it's
It's
it
kinda hard. I mean, I couldn't
yeah
even joke pick some of these other
yeah.
teams.
So yeah, that's
Vanderbilt probably could have been one that, I mean, it might have been kind of a joke, but I really think it depends. They might, if it's just like you say, that Florida's kinda gotten better, but who knows what's gonna happen,
yeah.
you
And
know?
and the thing with a week like this is when you pick them, the way you should pick them, there's very little variation. The
Yeah.
conference matchups they can tend to be a little more going either way, but this week, with 10 games, like at least
And
six
this
of them
a
are
lot of these
Patriot
teams,
games.
yeah, and a lot of these teams, they're pretty established. They're playing now.
Yeah,
There's not none that are really that close.
I'll give you a difference that I missed earlier in the year. I wish I'd have picked App State over A&M. Why? Because App State beat Michigan many years ago on the road. App State has had a history of playing the big teams a lot closer or beating them. UMass is 1-9. UMass is historically always bad. So if A&M lost this game, I would riot if I was an A&M fan,
Yeah.
especially after what you paid coaches to leave and to come in.
Right. That's
So
the thing that amazes me, some of the money that they pay for these coaches, and, I do know that, they can't always, turn on a dime and make everything, wonderful right away, but
Mhm.
sometimes you're like, "Yeah, the money we're paying, you kinda want that."
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, Any other thoughts? Any other comments?
No, this was fun. Thank you.
Thank you. We managed to go at least an hour and a half. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Wow.
We, it's special. We got to talk about some memories. Any other memories you want to talk about before we go? I mean, since we have we did got a couple minutes. If you want to, if there's anything else on your mind, or chat. Anybody in the chat, like I've said, if you got questions, if you've got comments, if there's something burning on an issue, even if you want in a different sport or a Fortnite, I don't care at this point since we've gotten through the games. We're kind of heading into the wrap up session.
I want to ask Geeky if what did you play in band? I
Hmm.
was a flautist. I played the flute.
Flautist? Is that what?
I don't know. I played the flute.
I would call it flutist.
I think they
I
say
had,
flautist, but I played the flute.
I had no rhythm, so I would not be allowed in band.
Oh yay, clarinet, woodwinds, yay!
Hey, I did know that a clarinet is a woodwind. I can't play them, but we actually, you remember that time with the kids when they had the little family things at the symphony? You go down there, and before the show, they let you play the instruments a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That was really, really cool.
Clarinet
felt
they
weird.
Got to play. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was pre-pandemic, and when they did sanitize them, but yeah, I bet you they can't do that now. That's sad because that was such a neat.
Hey, look at that.
Oh, just what I tell people is that I probably should be on camera, like how Orge does his little corner with him on the camera, because I make so many faces and things when I'm playing that to me I think it'd be more fun watching my faces while I play the game.
It's like when the missus is somebody either jumping on Fortnite or in the StreamYard. She's like waving at the camera.
Yeah, I wave. Nobody can see me, but I wave goodbye. But yeah, the funniest thing about Fortnite is I am terrified of heights in real life. And sometimes we were some of the things you have to do, like you're up high in the game, and my stomach actually gets queasy. Like I'm doing that I think it's Aida, the level up quest, and one of them was out on the branch of a tree in the reality tree, and you had to walk out. Now, if I fall, it doesn't matter because it's not real. But I was getting all queasy, like I was like in a virtual reality thing, like I was really walking it. It was so weird. So if people could see my face while I'm doing that, I think it would be hilarious.
Yes. And it's more than you should stream. You are planning. It's just been an interesting year too.
Yes, I was going to start streaming in March on my birthday. Then we had some tragedy happen in the family. So it put it off. And then we got sick, and then it's just been hard. And then Dadman was going to start streaming. So we wanted to get him off. Oh yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy, that feeling that it's like my stomach gets queasy. So I've just kind of lost momentum, but I will get streaming soon.
And a bass clarinet. I guess that's a bigger version of the clarinet.
I think it's longer. Is it? Does it have a different bell at the bottom, or does it look like just a? I can't remember. I'm going to have to look it up because I. Okay, it's got the little. Kind of looks like a clarinet with a little saxophone bell at the bottom.
No. Yeah, the silver bell. Hey, look, we're
wow.
Well, maybe we ought to have a music stream. You picked up something interesting. Maybe I'll talk to you about it. There's an issue. There's something you got too. That maybe we could do something with. But yeah,
I've played the flute. I played the I've got a dulcimer, not a dulcimer. I played a violin.
Oh,
I've played, oh my gosh, I can't think of what it's called. It's not a dulcimer because a dulcimer you use the mallets. It's kind of like a lute, probably more than
mhm.
anything. It does use a a, a bow like a violin, um, but I can't remember what it's called. Um, but yeah, I dabble in a lot, am fluent in little, but I enjoy
Yeah.
it.
That,
I have fun with it.
that's the thing. As long as you enjoy it, I never had the
Absolutely.
technical capability to do it right. So, or patience. I could have tried the piano, but I had no patience. So,
Yeah.
or guitar, I just wanted to be a rock star immediately, no practice. So, anyway,
You can't do that. You gotta practice, gotta pay
that's
your
what they tell
dues.
me. That's what they tell me. But you know me,
Yeah.
I have no
Yeah.
patience.
There's very few that just have that natural.
Yeah, the violin. It's a pretty. Yeah, you can get violins out there. They're out there. There are courses to take to do the self studies. I mean, you can definitely. There's so many options to do it now, especially with YouTube around too. I'm sure.
Oh gosh, you can get so much
Yeah,
stuff off of YouTube, but yeah.
absolutely. And then yes, hand coordination didn't get along with. Had to hold down the string on the board. I agree with that. That is.
Sometimes that could be that there's a part on there that might be too high up, and so it makes it hard. It's got a name for it's I don't know if it's the bridge, but sometimes that can be made a little lower so it's not as hard to press down.
Mhm.
Because they're all a lot of they're mass produced and they might need to be tweaked a little bit. Sometimes that's with guitars too. If the strings are too far away from the neck, it's hard to push them down, um, even if you're accomplished playing. Okay, that's my little tidbit for
You're
today.
okay. I'm actually trying to experiment with something on my computer while you're talking
Oh
about that.
goodness.
I know it's kind of crazy that I'm
But that's all
doing.
I have to say about that. I have nothing, no more to say.
Yeah, dang it. I was trying to experiment with something and now I lost control
Oh,
how
I'm
that
sorry.
goes.
I'm
So
sorry.
anyway, but hey, I, I
I always wanted to learn the bagpipes. I
oh
love
wow,
the bagpipes, but yeah, they're expensive.
that yeah, that would be because we've been to the Scottish festivals. That's very impressive watching them do that.
Yeah.
You know, and that is just amazing. The wind and all that's involved. Yeah. Which anytime you talk about Scottish anything, all I can think of is that one trip to the Renaissance Fair with Ang and the old
Oh
Scotch
my gosh.
flesh.
Oh,
Just
that was so funny. We went to a medieval fair and it was I homeschooled my kids, so it was homeschool day or school day. They public school kids were there too, but we're homeschooling there and they had where they did the jousting. And at the end of the jousting, they would come and you could sit and you could ask questions. Well, I asked the question about the helmet because the helmets had very small eye holes in them. And I asked them, was it hard to see or, something like that. And then they asked for a volunteer. And so, my youngest raised her hand. And so down, down they went and he put the helmet on him. And then he took a broadsword that was not fake. It was metal. It was heavy. And he took
mhm.
it and he whacked full strength our child on top of the head with his helmet. Shocked the knights that were there. I thought they were going to pee their pants. They were like, oh my gosh. They were walking away kind of, and just shocked that he did that. And I'm kind of sitting there going,
what
okay. I
what
mean, it
just
happened fairly quickly. So, I make it, but, he really whacked her hard on the head. And then, I'm sitting there going, hmm. And he took the helmet off. He goes, well, how do you feel? Did you feel anything? And Aang's like, yeah, no, not really. And he goes, that's why we wear those helmets. And I'm thinking to myself, he is very lucky that this was a homeschool parent and not any other parent, because I was like, wow, great lesson. Now you will always wear bike helmets.
Oh, well, here's a question. You ever thought of doing that gift of lordship thing where you fund a conservation of a plot of land for one-time fee and call yourself a lord or lady? I didn't know that was a thing.
I
So
had heard about that. No, no, I really haven't. I really haven't. I think that would be fun, you
that
know.
would be make
Uh,
everybody call me
La
Lord.
Lord Dadman and Lady Dadman.
Yes.
Lord walking and lady walking.
Oh, there you go. That works.
Your
So
peons down there. No.
yes. Well,
That
this
would
is
be kind of fun to do, like buying a star. That would
okay.
be
Yes,
cool, yeah.
send the info. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, for it's not another food product. Hey, but that'll be awesome. That'd be awesome. So, but yeah, I tell you, you get exposed to some of the most interesting things I've seen before. So, yes. Or hey,
I love the
Lady
saxophone too.
Geeky could be Lady Geeky.
Oh, Lady Geeky. Oh, yes.
We'd have Lady SPD Girl or Lady Jess. A Squeaker here earlier would be Lady Squeaka and who
Lord
else?
Ords.
Lord Ords. Yeah, Lord Ords. There you go.
Or it should be Lordy Ords.
Lord Ords. Oh, wish he was here to hear that. So, but hey, on that note, unless anybody else has something else, we'll go ahead and let's see. I've been broadsorted. Yes, yes.
Truly, 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 Ang was. Ang was. It was so funny.
Dude,
Uh,
that was still the most interesting moment. Those
he was the
nights,
most interesting gentleman because he was Scottish.
yeah,
And he would shoot his gun and, and he would use the phrases that, were probably a little, he goes, "Oh, I shot my wad," and things like that, which,
yeah.
in school settings probably should have not said, but he did. And it was funny.
It was the nights though, like you said, were crazy because they just like they wanted to run away. They were so embarrassed. They could not believe that.
I think they were just shocked. I don't think they
Yeah,
were embarrassed. They were laughing hysterically because they were like, like he lost his mind. They were
yeah.
just, they were just so in shock.
Yeah, I was as the dad sitting there like, did that just happen? And it's like,
And I must either have been a horrible mom or a great one because I was like, "Wow, life lesson."
well, it goes back to the football lessons when they played. We told them you play with the boys, you got to get ready to things happen, and and Aang was a trooper with it, like
Yeah.
nothing ever happened. So,
Yep.
all right, well, and I love. Hey, this is kind of cool going from and listen, bands are a big part of college football, especially. Thank you for that deviation where we could spend some time talking about marching bands and the instruments and this. Now that we got through the football stuff, and I want to have more as football season winds down, different topics and things. There'll be some more of the show and tells and things that maybe we can spend some more time in these type of fun things and you know, it just have some fun chatting together. It's been like we said, it's been an interesting week. Our AC will be put in tomorrow, hopefully. Thankfully, it was this time of year, and just some, things, and at the end of the day, I know I know the missus thanks every one of y'all for
Yes.
being here. It's special. I've learned to really love and appreciate these Thursday nights and hope to do more things, maybe bring some more people on that want to do and talk some sports with us and maybe some other things. But we'll see what, goes down the road. But, like I said, it's special that all of you, and I think you're mostly ladies right now, which ladies, guys, whatever, lurkers, people chatting, I appreciate you spending your time here with me and with the missus tonight. It's just, it's nice. It's fun. And, I feel like we're just friends talking together and just having a good conversation, spend some time getting away and just chilling out and trying to have a few laughs and stuff. So, well, Mrs., do you want me to, I'll leave you on with me as we go
Well,
out.
I wanted to tell,
Go ahead.
thank Geeky. She was saying that she wished she didn't get to work have to work so late, and we've been kind of messing around with the times and stuff, trying to figure out what works the best because we've got all the different time zones. So we're still working on that, and maybe we can rotate some streams around and things where some with later hours and stuff might be able to get on more and things like that. But we love it that you're here. We, like you said, we love all of you that have been here. Squeaka, Kiki, Ords, SPD girl. I think
That's most everybody that checked in tonight.
I think that's
There's
everyone
probably a couple of lurkers, but
yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
So we thank you all for being here, and it's been fun. So
thank you for choosing Dadman Walking for your entertainment needs tonight.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay.
You have been listening to Dadman Walking on Dadman Walking 55.
Now, see, that's a voice. That's a voice.
But I have to work on that voice. Well, that's not my real voice.
No, might have to sign off soon anyway. But listen, thank you very much, everybody that's been here, and thank you for the contributions and for the non-football talk that was football related in a lot of ways. But let's start to next week. Listen, next week's games are going to be very, very special. Oh man, you got a fan out there using that voice. But hey, next week we got a bunch of rivalry games. The Iron Bowl, Alabama. Wait a second. Mrs., can you do me a favor? Can you put a link since does YouTube hit our chats like if I put a copyright link out there?
I don't know.
But anyway, listen, you people know how to use YouTube, okay? Type in Egg Bowl, Mississippi State dog peeing. Watch the video that comes up. It's very short. I'll talk about it next week. That play happened just a couple years ago. That's the stuff that happens in rivalry games. So next week, you got Mississippi State and Egg Bowl, Georgia Tech. You got the Iron Bowl, Alabama, Auburn. Big games next week. A lot on the line, a lot of bragging rights. So come expect a great show next week. The format will probably be somewhat different and maybe less stat review and stuff. And more focused on some of the games and with our guest, because our guest, as you see, is now on a special time for next week at Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Next Thursday is Thanksgiving. Friday also is part of the Thanksgiving holiday, but Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, my guest for next week is one of the games I don't think I said it was Florida State, big game here in the state. Our guest will be the Queen of Florida herself, Lorena Creole, host of the Welcome to Florida show. So what better episode to bring her on than the week with Florida and Florida State play? So be prepared for some really, really funny talk next week and a lot of, I think, fun. And there will probably be some changes. We'll have to change the formats up a little bit, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to this show. And okay, thank you for the links on the Scottish Word thing. That's awesome. We'll do that. But yeah, but then again, thank you again, Mrs. Thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for coming in and chatting, and keep doing that voice that everybody likes and stuff. Work on it more, and just thank you for all that you've done for the channel on this, the slides, backup, support, everything else. Thanks to my mods out there. Thanks to the non-mods. Thank you for y'all spending the time here today. And, like I said, I just say thank you. We've got 9 watching now as I'm going to sign out. But let me end with this to say, if you're on the Twitch side, make sure, please leave a follow the channel if you've not followed yet. And if you're on the YouTube side, subscribe, like the videos, share it out. We appreciate it. Check out our various sites. The main place to go to find out what's latest is my Twitter account. at Dadman Walking 55. That's where you'll see when we go live, what we're planning, things like that. YouTube, I finally got the @ now, so it's at Dadman Walking 55. Twitch TV is Dadman Walking 55, but also please go check out some of the other content over there. Some of the Fortnite streams. We've actually started placing Fortnite clips out there too. There have been some very nice ones. I think there's the one me setting people on fire, I think, is out there.
No, there's the one. I know there's the one of you setting the house on fire with
Yeah,
me.
that's that one. Yeah.
But there was nobody else in the house. It was
No.
setting you on
I nearly
fire.
burned myself. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even better. There's one with you driving, I think, that went backwards.
Yeah.
And I know we got one of Squeak out there that go watch that clip. I was sitting in the car, didn't know what the hell happened, and flying through there, bounced down off the top of a balloon thing and parked the car right on our ledge at an angle. That was awesome. What a fun moment. So we're trying to do more shorts, clips, and stuff out there too. Some funny stuff. But follow us on Twitch, like and subscribe on the YouTube side. So with that, remember Tuesday night, 8 p.m. and our guest Lorena Creole. And you all have a great weekend. And just be good to each other. Enjoy the weekend that's coming up. Get your rest, and see you the next time we come together, folks. Bye.
Bye.